394. Since email is down pretty much everywhere, and it's so difficult to get access to a working phone line, I would watch other troops write home to loved ones. They would type out text documents on laptops, then save them to a flash drive. Some even used pen and paper. I guess that was a little more personal for the one receiving the letter. I used to envy them. The fact they had someone who cared about them waiting for their return. A father, mother, siblings, maybe even a kid for some of them. But I imagine those people back home, all they do is worry. It's like a curse or an illness. The ones writing the letters don't have a way to avoid hurting their loved ones. Sure, some of them will come home okay, but they've hurt their families in the time they've spent away from them. And then, what if they don't come home? That has to be painful too. In fact, I know it is. 394. The Metas Air Force took away my hometown, my family, my former life. After the bombs fell and the grieving faded, all I could think about was payback. I was well armed and knew how to survive in the wilderness. I didn't want or need anyone else's help. I just needed targets to put in my crosshairs. The Metas made the mistake of deploying paratroopers deep inland. I sniped my way through Arizona and across the wooded Southwest. Sometimes I traveled on foot, sometimes on an ATV, or by hitchhiking. But it wasn't some sort of road trip adventure filled with fun times and sightseeing. The only sight I cared about was the clarity of the image in my scope. The only places I cared to explore encompassed terrain that gave me better vantage points. You learn a lot out there on your own. My dad always said I was a good shot, but things like elevation compensation, camouflage, accounting for the Coriolis effect, you only get good at those through practice. And I've gotten a lot of practice. Maybe I was lucky. Maybe my desire for payback kept me safe somehow. I really don't know. But by the time the Army picked me up near Reno, I had put a Meta in the ground for every man, woman, and child buried back home. 394. Afterwards, I didn't feel any better. There are probably at least 10 Metas for every one of us. So I suppose just once isn't enough. I didn't care what the Army did with me. It's not like I had anywhere to go back to. After scout sniper training, all I wanted was to be back out in the woods, alone. So I put a scratch in my dog tags and started counting again. Another scratch later, and I found myself caught up in the Battle of Hilt. That's where I met the lieutenant. There was something about her, something I can't really explain. Somehow, she understood me, as if she knew how I felt without me saying a word. Like a parent, I guess. At Hilt, I was introduced to the Rhine Medal, 120 millimeters of smooth-bore payback. The lieutenant said I was a natural. I just thought it was easy. It used to be that I could only count 1 or 2 with every pull of the trigger. But in the Abrams, I only have to pull the trigger once, and a fully loaded APC packed with a dozen or so Metas goes up in flames. At that rate, I was going to be adding another scratch to my dog tags in no time. I'm not thrilled about having to be around others, but I think the 10th SMU is my best opportunity to get back at the Metas. With every pull of the trigger, I can avenge someone's entire family, someone's friends, someone's neighbors. I know it won't bring them back. I'm not expecting it to. But as long as I still feel the pain of the loss they've caused me, this at least numbs it. If only for a moment. It's becoming harder and harder to make the pain go away. But if I keep myself distracted and focus on killing, I don't have to think about it. The front line is the furthest I can run away, so that's where I'll stay. It's not that I have a death wish. It's that I just don't care what happens to me. If I kill metas, the pain goes away. If I get struck down, the pain goes away. It's a win-win. It's not like I have anyone back home expecting me. When the Army told me that the 10th's mission would be highly dangerous and would take me far, far away with a good chance I wasn't coming back, well, how could I turn that down? Now, we've nearly made it to the East Coast. I've even added another scratch to my dog tags. After we wrap things up here in central Pennsylvania, we can finally get on that boat to Europe. The lieutenant said this is our chance to finally bring the war to the enemy. She's not about vengeance. She says that if we complete our mission, that will be revenge enough. Well, if she feels that way, I suppose that's a good thing. But in the meantime, the metas wanted a war. So I'll give them a war they won't believe.